Hello guys and gals, and this is part 5 of Bub, Snow, and the Burly Bear Scare by Carol Wallace and Bill Wallace. And we are on chapter 9, I believe. By the time we're done with this, we will be on chapter 11 probably. But as we saw before, the human children made a snowman. I guess, do you want to build a snowman? And I guess the answer is yes. Sorry, Frozen reference. Now, I know that song is running through your head. Again, sorry. Kind of sorry, not sorry. Okay, anyway. Chapter 9. One morning, I slept in. I felt so warm and cozy that I just don't want to get up. Lying there for a while, I noticed this strange feeling creep over me. I tried to lift my head to see if our food was in the clearing yet, only my head wouldn't move. Now I felt really strange. It was like something was holding me. I blinked and opened my eyes. I couldn't see. Startled and scared both, I sprang to my feet. Okay, I didn't spring. I struggled and jerked and squirmed. Finally, I gave a mighty lunge and stood up. It was unbelievable. There was snow everywhere. Deep new powder covered the entire world. I glanced back at my bed. There was nothing there but a round hole with snow piled at the edges. No wonder I felt so strange. I was buried. Mother, do you see this? I can't believe it. I've never seen so much snow. Mother, there was a crunching sound beside me. Soft white powder flew into the air as Mother's head popped through the crust. Startled, I jumped back, only my hind feet were buried deeper than I thought, so I jumped back with my front feet, and my back feet just stuck in the snow. I ended up sitting down smack dab on my bottom. Mother looked at me and blinked a couple of times. I blinked back at her. I started giggling at the sight in front of me. Mother looking so funny. All I could see was her big, beautiful face and head. Her large ears flipped at the snow that covered them. You look funny. You look pretty funny yourself, little bub, Mother said. I glanced around at my rear end. My bottom was buried in a big pile of white powder. When I wiggled my short tail, snow flew around in swirls. After easing my back legs free, I stood up. I stood on the big pile of snow and shook from my head to my rump. Let's go. I'm hungry, I begged Mother. I want to stay here for a little bit longer, Bub. The snow covering is warm and comfortable. But I'm starving, I begged. Bub Moose, you can go on ahead and look for the hay. Watch for the people, though. I haven't heard the bus this morning. I want to rest just a little bit longer. I'll be there in a while. I'll watch for the people. I'll be careful. I felt big and almost grown up because Mother trusted me to go look for the hay pile by myself. Listening and watching, I marched proudly to the spot where the hay usually was. It wasn't there. Scratching the snow with my big hooves, I tried to find a bite that we missed yesterday. There wasn't even a flake of hay. My tummy growled, my ears drooped. In the distance, I could see the two horses standing with their heads over the fence. They weren't eating either. I crossed the open pasture and the road. Hey, Bub, Rainey called out as I strolled up to their pen. They haven't brought the hay out yet. The big snow has caused them to be late. Sweet Pea whinnied and nodded her head. Well, yeah, they're late because of the snow. It's like Christmas vacation, too, and, like kids get a kick out of sleeping late during vacations. My head leaned way to one side. They get kicked? Vacation? Jane and Justin don't have to go to school today, Rainey explained. They like to sleep late. We don't get Christmas vacation, Sweet Pea curled her top lip way back. It's vacation for the people, but a total drag for us. Man, like, we do 2 hay rides every day. More people show up at the ski resort. We work twice as hard for them. It's party time. My mouth fell open. I turned to Rainey. She shrugged her ears as if to say that she had no idea what Sweet Pea was talking about either. A loud noise near the house made my head snap around. Jane and Jessie waddled towards the barn. Though I had to watch them a lot from the safety of the trees, I had never been this close before. My feet seemed to freeze to the ground as I stared at them. If I didn't move, maybe they wouldn't see me. I watched as they went into the barn, they came out carrying piles of delicious hay. Soft growl came to my ears as my tummy began to talk to me. I couldn't move. I just stood there staring at the delicious food. Look, Jane, Jessie whispered. It's the baby moose. Under the bright orange fur that covered her head, Jane's little mouth curled up on both sides. Her eyes got almost as big as mine. Come here, little moose. Little moosey, we have some breakfast for you. Flicking my ears, I looked around for Mother. Jane and Jessie looked bigger than I thought. Jessie stopped, but Jane moved a bit closer. Little moosey, come here. This is for you. Jane dropped the hay, then squatted down in the snow close to it. I took a small step. I let out a little warning snort to let her know that I wasn't afraid. Dropping my head, I put my nose into the hay. Jane sat very, very still while I ate for a moment. Finally, ever so slowly, she eased to her knees and leaned towards me. I stopped munching the hay, but I didn't move. She leaned closer. It's okay, baby Moosey. I won't hurt you. I promise. Jane's voice was gentle and sweet. I looked into the little people's eyes. They twinkled as bright as the white snow. There was no mean or evil in her look. I could sense no danger. Lifting my head ever so slightly, I took a step closer. Kneeling on the ground, Jane was shorter than I was. Slow as a fall leaf fluttered to the ground, she reached out a hand. I watched as it moved towards my head. Her eyes were bright and warm. I blinked and licked my lips, not quite as slow or cautious. I leaned forward. Jane let out a little giggle as she touched the fur behind my ears. At first her touch felt strange. It made me just a little nervous, but the more she rubbed and scratched behind my ears, the better it felt. Jessie scooted up on his knees, then reached out and stroked my neck. They didn't feel too bad either. Then I saw the mother people. She stood a little ways from us. I could see the tracks in the snow behind her, but she wasn't coming towards us. She seemed almost frozen, tall and as stiff as a pine tree. Her face was stern and worried, only she wasn't looking at us. Glancing over my shoulder, I saw Mother at the edge of the trees. Her face was worried too. She watched us, then she looked at the people, Mother. Then she watched us again. Jane, Justin, the mother people's soft voice. Jane, Justin, the mother people's soft voice didn't seem to go with the tense look on her face. Both of you stop petting the moose. I want you to back away very slowly. Justin scooted back on his knees. Jane didn't follow. She giggled again and stroked my long ears. I flipped it. Justin reached forward and tugged at her fur. Jane, something's wrong. You'd better mind Mama. But the little moose is so sweet, can't we? Jane, the mother, growled in as soft as a whisper. Right this minute. The little girl blinked her eyes at me and smiled. I blinked back and waved my little ears as she scooted off. Once away from me, both of them got to their feet. Justin latched on to the fur at the back of her neck. Watching my mother over his shoulder, he made Jane walk with him all as they moved slowly back towards the house. Mother's nostrils flared, steam puffed from them like the clouds of white that puffed from the snowblower. Bub Moose, she ronked. Do not run. If you run, they might chase you. Turn very slowly and walk to me. Okay. There's the picture. But Mother, they were nice. They weren't trying to hurt me, and Bub Moose now. As loud and angry as Mother's voice was, it was hard for me to walk. I wanted to run, only there was something about her tone that made me do what she told me to do. The mother people did not turn when Jane and Jessie reached her. Walking backward, she eased away from us. Once they were at the cabin, the mother was not happy. You're 8 years old, she scolded Jane. You know better than to get that close to a moose. They can be dangerous animals, and but Mama, the baby moose was sweet. He liked me petting behind his ears, and I guess that Bub is a he. Okay. You didn't even see the mother moose, did you? Do you know what would have happened if she thought you were hurting her baby? Do you have any idea what would have happened if you two, to you two if she had charged? The mother stopped and turned to Justin. She shook her finger right under his nose. And you, young man, you're in 5th grade. You're supposed to take care of your little sister. If I ever... Her voice faded as they moved inside the people cabin. Smiling, I trotted up beside Mama and leaned down for some milk. She moved away from me, steam still puffing from her flared nostrils. I moved. This is it, I think. Wait. Making sure. 75. Just making sure I'm not missing a page. Again and reached for some breakfast. Mother spun. She lowered her head and butted me on the bottom. It was not a friendly or affectionate butt, either. It hurt. I have warned you about getting near the people, she scolded. I told you how dangerous they are, and what do you do? The little people are sweet, Mother. They were nice to me. I think they want to be friends. Mother butted me again. You can't be friends with people. They are far too dangerous. If I ever catch you near them again, she let out a snort and butted me one more time. As we walked up the valley to forage, I tried to tell Mother about the people. I told her how funny their touch felt at first, but how nice it was once I got used to it. She didn't say anything. I told her how gentle the people were and how there was no feel of danger to worry when they were near. Mother looked back at me and gave a heavy sigh. Still, she didn't say anything. I'm so fed up with this, a distant voice made my ears perk. My ears perk. 3 times. First the dam, then the lodge, now the lodge again. Who said that? I asked Mother. She nodded towards the pond. I believe it was Chippy. We both stopped and stood a moment listening. I think I'll just lie down in the snow, the voice said. There's no use going on. I'm so depressed. I think I'll just give up. Following Mother to the edge of the... I need to change my position again. Okay. Following Mother to the edge of the pond, I could see Chippy's beaver lodge out on the ice. Well, I could see what was left of it. There were limbs and dirt scattered all over the smooth white snow. Half the lodge was open and I could see inside. Chippy waddled into the snow and picked up a branch with his long yellow teeth. He brought it back and stuck it in the lodge. Then he turned and tapped it in place with his tail. Did Burly do that? Mother called to him. Chippy's head snapped up. He nodded to us and made a clicking sound with his teeth. Yep. Thought with the heavy snow the old grouch would be sound asleep, but nope, he's back again, tearing up my lodge, making my life miserable. Is there anything we can do to help? Chippy shook his head. No, not unless you know how to keep the ice open for me. He pointed with his buck teeth towards the far end of the pond. I can only fix part of my lodge from inside. To get most of it, I'll have to come out here. But if I fix my lodge, I can't get back inside. 3 to 5 times a day, I've been leaving the lodge to break the ice near the Otters' den. They help, but their lodge is underground, and they don't have to keep the hole open. It's getting colder, though. Another week or so, I won't be able to... He heaved another sigh and sat down on his tail. If that old bear tears my house up again, we're goners. Thanks for your consideration, though. Got to get back to work. What's an otter? I asked. Mother motioned with a nod of her head. On the way back from hunting our breakfast, I'll show you. We wandered up the next valley for quite a ways. Mother stopped. She heard something. Then I heard it, a faint roaring, growling sound coming from the far side of a thicket. Mother backed up. She sniffed the air. Beside us was a tall tree. I could see scratch marks on the bark. There were deep gouges, lines that reached way higher than Mother's head. She saw it too. The snarling roar came again. Is that an otter? Mother shook her head. No, Bob, that's Burly. It makes me nervous for you to be so close to the people, but... Yes, Mother? But for now, I think we would be better off near their house. Even as nasty and mean as Burly is, I don't think he would come that close to the people. We crossed the stream and started back. Behind us, there was more snarling and growling. I could hear the snapping sound of limbs and trees breaking. It was a mean, scary sound. I was glad to be headed back. Then I heard another sound. Whoopee yahoo! Is that Burly? Mother's ears wobbled and she shook her head. No, those are otters. Yippee! Look out! Here I come! Yahoo! I wiggled my ears towards the cheers and shouts. My eyes followed what my ears led. There was a steep hill or bank not far from where Mother and I stood. It was at the opposite end of the pond from Chippy's dam. A movement at the top of the hill caught my eye. A dark brown streak swished from the top of the rise to the bottom. It went so fast I couldn't tell what it was. The thing didn't even slow down when it slid out onto the snow-covered pond. It just hopped up and pounced back towards the slope. Just as it started up the hill, another brown streak swished down. Yippity-yay! Get along, little doggy. Out of the way, here I come. The second brown streak just barely missed the first. Once it hit the pond, it spun around a couple of times, but instead of hopping up and bounding back with the other one, this one just lay there, all sprawled on its back. Boy, howdy, reckon that was the best one I did all day. Look at how far out on the ice I slid. The little animal had short legs and a long tail instead of flat, like Chippy's tail. It was thick and tapered to a point at the end. He was lying on his back. I could see that the fur on his tummy was a lighter color. Look, Linda Sue, I wonder what those two big animals are. A little head popped up not far from where Mother and I stood. They're moose, you knothead. If you'd get off your back and look at the world right side up, you'd know what they were. The little animal wiggled around and flopped over on one side. Once on his feet, he stuck his pointy nose way out and looked at us. Yep, you're right, as rain, Linda Sue. They're sure enough moose. I just knew that as little as the animal was, he would be scared of us. He'd run away, and I would never know the reason for all their yelling and hollering. Wrong. He didn't run away. Instead, he ran right for us. His little back humped as high as he bounded through the snow, leaping and hopping his way up to where we stood. He didn't stop until he was almost standing on my hoof. I stepped back. He hopped closer, sniffed. The long hairs that stuck out from either side of his mouth tickled my leg. I yanked it off the ground and held it out of his reach. He just hopped over and sniffed my other leg. Well, howdy, little buckaroo. You must be Bub Moose. Hey, Linda Sue, look here. Bub Moose came to say hi. The other little brown animal came prancing through the snow, standing on three legs in the deep snow. Oh, wait. The other little brown animal came pouncing through the snow. Standing on three legs in deep snow was kind of awkward. Careful not to step on them, I put my foot down. How did you know my name was Bub? The named Linda Sue sniffed me. Chippy told us all about you and your mama, she answered. He said that you were about the nicest, sweetest moose that had ever come down the pike. Told us that you were as polite as could be. You know, Chippy, I had to move my feet some because they were tickling my legs with their noses again. Sure, we know Chippy. Kid's having a mighty rough winter. What with that nasty old bear, we've been helping him keep the ice open so he can get to the outside of his lodge. See that hole over yonder? She pointed to the mushy spot on the ice not far from the bank. It's not easy, though. Hope that bear backs off soon. Pond's already frozen solid. Another week or so, no matter how hard we work, we won't be able to keep her open. He is very depressed, Mother said. I do wish there was something we could do to help. Not much. None of us can do, honey, Linda Sue said. Burly is bad enough, but I reckon it's the ice that will get Chippy. Joe Bob and I knew this muskrat one time. He wasn't too bright, but oh, come on, Linda Sue. Let's go slide some more. You too, little buckaroo, Bub. You can go down the slide with us. Back arched, Joe Bob pounced across the snow. I followed him, careful not to step on Linda Sue. There in the snow, with a path There in the snow was a path or trail. There were little ridges of snow on either side of it. The snow at the center was packed so tightly that it almost looked like ice. Joe Bob's long whiskers wiggled as he sniffed at the packed snow. He inched forward, then all at once he flopped on his belly. Yee-haw! He yelped as he slid down the trowel. I think it's called a trowel. Trowel. Or, yeah, trowel. Out of the way, here I come, Linda Sue called as she leapt into the furrow. She whooshed and slid down the hill, following Joe Bob. Once at the bottom, they wrestled and tumbled over each other. Their backs humped and pounced to the top of their slide and took off again. Don't they ever get tired? I asked Mother after we had watched them for quite a while. Mother just smiled. Otters have lots of energy. Do they just play all the time? Don't they ever forage for food? They don't eat grass and twigs like we do, Bub. Otters eat fish. They are very fast in the water, so they have no trouble catching fish. It is easy for them. It leaves them lots of time to play and have fun. After about 10 trips up and down their snow slide, Joe Bob and Linda Sue hopped right under my feet and looked up at me. Why don't you give it a shot, little Bob? Yeah, it's fun, kid. Give it a try. I looked at Mother. She shrugged, so I followed the two otters to the top of the slide. From the crest of the hill, it looked like a long way to the pond. The trench where they slid was narrow and crooked. Very cautious and a bit nervous, I stepped into the furrow. Nothing happened. I put my other foot beside the first one. It's not working, I complained. You gotta flop on your belly and slide down the slope. Here, watch old Joe Bob. Joe Bob darted between my front legs, flopped on his tummy, and swooshed down the slope. Linda Sue nudged my hind legs with her snout. Go on, kid, give it a try. I sighed and shook my head. I don't think it's going to work. I don't know how to flop on my tummy. She showed me. I stretched out my front hooves farther out. All they did was dig into the snow. Bounding and hopping, the two otters raced back up to me. How about if he sits down on his rump? Reckon that would work? Sure, worth a try, Joe Bob. Linda Sue stepped in front of me. She arched her back up real high. Then she leaned backwards, tail first. She shot down the long, windy slide. It looked like so much fun. I just had to try it. I took a deep breath, braced myself, and folded my hind legs beneath me. Still, nothing happened. My rump just stuck there in the snow, and it didn't slide at all. The otters raced up and down their slide. They never seemed to get tired, and never seemed to slow down, and never quit their chattering and laughing. They made sliding down the slope look like so much fun. I really wanted to try it, but nothing I did seemed to work. Perhaps some things weren't meant to be. A moose sliding down a hill was just one of those things. Mother told me it was time to go back down the valley. We thanked Joe Bob and Linda Sue for trying to help me. Think nothing of it, little buckaroo, said Joe Bob. Joe Bob called over his shoulder as he slid down the slope. Again, you'll get it next time. Linda Sue took off after him. Y'all come back and see us. The hay was waiting not far from our bed. When we got back, there were no people around. Mother and I ate our fill and curled up together for the night. I fell asleep with visions of skiers in my head. People laughing and giggling and zooming down the long, tall mountain. Otters flopping on their tummies and yelling and swishing down the long, narrow trail. And in my dreams, I could almost feel the rush of excitement and the fun, if only. And this is where we're going to stop it here. We are to chapter 11 currently. And there are only 3 more. Wait. I think there are 13 chapters total. Yeah, okay. Meaning that we are almost done. So this has been a reading from Bub, Snow, and the Burly Bear Scare. Look out, here comes Bub Moose. Okay, and this is by Carol Wallace and Bill Wallace. And I really hadn't heard of this author or this book series. And like I say, I really like the cover art here. So anyways, If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe and ring the bell so you know when I upload. And if you want to support me in any way, all that information will be in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.